Hello everyone. Well, I've got another Numatic Henry to look at today, but a Henry with a difference. This is a 15-year-old Numatic Henry that's not been unboxed yet. So this dates from 2006, according to the serial number on the side of the box, and week 38. So at the time of making this video, it is almost 15 years old. I wanted to get an older Henry because I've had people commenting and asking me, do you think the quality of pneumatic cleaners has gone down? And personally, yes, I think it has. Things have been made at a reduced price to keep their profits up. The latest thing they've done, which a lot of people don't like, is the new floor head supplied with most of the cleaners now. It isn't as good as the last head, and people said the last head wasn't as good as the head you can get with this particular Henry. So let's open it up and see if they really were better made 15 years ago. Okay, let's release the flaps. It's obviously been glued down. Try and open it carefully. There we go, nearly there. Come on. This flap doesn't want to be released. I know it's been 15 years, but you need to come out of your box. Come on. There we go. Right. Well, first thing we can see is an old style instruction book with the cartoon drawings we have here, and details of accessory kits and bags. I assume the bags in here will be the old paper bag. There's another little leaflet with a 2-year warranty. I don't think I can have a warranty on this one. And there's instructions for dry use actually written down here as well. Here is the old style floor head. With a metal base, 2 litre pickers, and of course you've got a foot operated pedal that lowers the brush more or less the full circumference of the nozzle, but with a gap here for side suction. I think you can still buy this nozzle. I'm sure I've seen it on Amazon. So if you want to get this for a newer Henry, if you prefer this style of nozzle, then you can still get them fairly cheaply. So there we go, that's the nozzle. I wasn't going to open this, but the bag split, so I might as well. It's hard to tell any difference between the small nozzles, between what we get now. Looks a slightly different shape. So that's your upholstery nozzle with a slide-on brush. Nice soft dusting tool. Your crevice nozzle. And finally, this little adapter that does look different to the ones you get now actually. This enables you to connect all of the accessories directly onto the end of the hose. Here is the hose. It's standard, it's not tapered like the hoses you get now. It's the same width at the cleaner end as it is at the handle end. Yep, just feels pretty standard to me. Bit dusty. Here's the curved metal handle with a slightly different style of suction control. 2 metal ones, 1, 2. Ah, look, with this one we even get the Henry bag, which you can use as a little shopping bag or use it to put your cleaning tools in. Happiness is Henry shaped. And, well, apart from the Henry himself, a little bit more generous with the bags. 1, 2, 3, 4 spare genuine bags, but you know, these are the paper. I will be using the new HEPA bags because they are definitely an improvement on the paper bags. And finally, out comes Henry himself. There you go, Henry. After 15 years in the box, you're finally making your first appearance on my channel. Apart from the apparent drop in quality of Henry vacuum cleaners manufactured today, there have been many small changes made to Henry throughout the years. He looks very similar on the surface, but changes have been made, notably to the motor. This Henry is fitted with a 1200 watt motor. Current machines, due to EU regulations, are now 620 watts, and I'll be using my suction gauge on this 1200 watt Henry just to see if it's any more or less powerful than the new 620 watt versions. There's also been a few changes to the body and the switches, etc. One change is the face on this Henry. It's stuck on the later machines. It's a 3D face that you can twist and remove. Feeling the casters, I don't know, they just feel better. I will have to get a later model out just to sort of compare, but there is something about this machine. It does feel like it's slightly better made. It could just be me, I'm not sure. But on the back we'll notice a change with the switch assembly here. Current 620 watt Henrys have a single speed motor with just one rocker switch and a mains on light here. This earlier Henry has the on off switch, but it's also got a high low switch, so you can reduce the suction and the power level to about half of what it normally consumes in low power. Models after this had the autosave feature, which I believe was prone to failure. So on the autosave Henrys, you'd switch the machine on and it would automatically go into low power until you selected the high power setting. Here's the rating sticker located under the handle. So it's 230 volts, 50 to 60 hertz, 1200 watts max, 1000 watt IEC, Numatic International Limited, HVR 200-22. The serial number is 0638021114, which I believe does mean that this was made in 2006, week 38. You'll notice on the back of this Henry that there is no tool storage as found on later models. You'll notice one tool storage clip on the side of Henry that enables you to just store one of the small cleaning tools on board. Let's have a look inside Henry. And the underside of that looks very like the ones you get now, I believe. I don't think they've changed the design of that. We've got the filter, of course. Again, that looks to be little changed from models you can buy now. And then fitted, we've got the traditional paper bag. Yes, definitely unused, there's no dirt in that. Just pop it back for now. These bags could split if they were used until they were very, very full. I worked in a shop many years ago and they used to have Henry cleaners to clean the shop, and often they wouldn't use them with a bag, but when they did fit a bag, the bags were always absolutely chock-a-block. I used to go into the cleaner's cupboard and check them over, and if I saw the bag was very full, I'd swap the bags over, because if the bag gets very, very full, it might split and make a right mess inside Henry's belly. Well, on the face of it, he looks very similar, doesn't he? It's a standard size Henry, of course. They didn't have the compact Henrys back in the day. I do like the compact ones though, I must admit. This feels very smooth. The cable does feel better quality somehow, but that is certainly a much smoother cord rewind. The cord is coming out very nicely. Okay, we'll plug Henry in. And we'll switch him on. Let's hope he works after 15 years of staying asleep in his box. We'll start off on the low suction setting. Wow, Henry, you do have a strong suck on you, don't you? Where's your hose? I don't know. Just by doing that, that feels like it has more suction than the Henrys today, but I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever tried my suction gauge on a 1200 watt Henry. I'm not sure if I have. Oh, that's a bit, there we go. Just needed lining up. Very good. Look at that, I'm showing a bit behind the scenes mess. I had to give Henry a bit of a wipe. His wheels were dirty. Right then, what I'm going to do, folks, I'll take this piece because I need to form a better seal on my suction gauge, wherever that is. I've just had it, there it is. I've had it in a previous video I've just made today. So, okay, if memory serves me correctly, a standard Henry today with 620 watt motor produces about 80 on the gauge, which is pretty good considering it's only 620 watts. So I'm wondering, is this 1200 watt motor going to produce about 80, which means it's about half as efficient as the new machines, or is it going to be more than 80? Place your bets below, folks. Well, we'll know by the time we see the video. Okay, this will be interesting. I'm going to start on low, so we'll see what the suction is on low power, and then we'll see what it is on high. Well, that was interesting. On low power, Henry peaked at around 64 on my gauge, and on high power, 102. So it's definitely got more suction power than a Henry you can buy today. I think Numatic claim that their new motors are more efficient, and I don't dispute that, but they do have less suction power on maximum suction. But still, for a 620 watt motor to peak at 80 for a Henry you can buy now is still pretty good. Well, I thought that suction test was quite interesting. I never knew the suction power of an older Henry. Obviously, it's not vintage, but it's still 15 years old, and it's the first time this poor Henry has seen the light of day, and it's the first time that this nozzle is ever going to be pushed on a carpet after 15 years. So it's nice to open something new in the box that, well, if this had been opened 15 years ago and sold on eBay after being used for 15 years, I don't think he'd have been smiling quite so broadly as he's smiling now. I think he's happy, to be honest, to be released from the box. Right, this is, oh, there we go. That was a bit stiff. That's one thing I don't like about Henrys, and I've said many times, I don't like the two tube setup. I think certainly in a domestic situation, a telescopic wand would be better. And I've seen many commercially used Henrys that these tubes and the end nozzle have more or less fused together, and you cannot get them apart unless you get two strapping blokes either side and twist and pull, and you might get them separated. That's quite a tight fit, I must say. I'll put the handle in. Again, it's very tight, but it is brand new, so to speak. I think it would loosen up. That is quite hard to push in. And then finally we can pop the wand into the, well, the handle into the end of the hose, and we'll give Henry a bit of a push. I'll start him off on low power. Oh dear. It's the carpet's fault, folks. It does tend to this nozzle is skipping a bit. I'd have to go like this. Oh, it's lifting up, can you see? Let's put it on high power. Ah, well, I might be changing my mind about this nozzle. Whew. It is quite an effort to push. If you follow my channel, you know this carpet I'm standing on was a big mistake. It's a Saxony plush pile carpet, and a lot of the vacuum cleaners I show on my channel don't perform well on it. I should have just got a shorter pile carpet, so I can't do anything about it now. I have to live with it. But yeah, that did skip a bit. I'll just get a shorter pile carpet sample and we'll try it. Now obviously the Henrys are used in commercial situations, and in a commercial environment like an office or a shop, it would be very rare you'd get a plush pile carpet. They're much more likely to have hard floors or shorter pile carpets, very hard wearing, very short pile man-made carpets, which this sort of nozzle would be ideal for. Here's a piece of short pile carpet. I'm going to try Henry on low. On high power it might move the carpet about, I'm not sure. I have to put my foot on this carpet sample to stop it moving, but we'll try it on low power first. Very easy on low power. Now on high power, much easier to push the nozzle on this type of carpet. As I said, it's more down to the carpet than the nozzle, I think. This nozzle certainly doesn't stick to a short pile carpet like the newer nozzles do. But all in all, I don't know, do I prefer this nozzle? I certainly prefer this nozzle to the nozzle you can get on Henry's made today, but personally I preferred the nozzle before that, which was, I believe, Vesselwerk manufactured nozzle. Although the better nozzle to that one was the metal-based version, which I've got on my Numatic John and Numatic Lewis cleaners. I think probably for me that was the ultimate Henry nozzle. Here's a much newer Henry made in week 14 of 2021, so a baby really. So Henry Pet Pro, meet your 15-year-old cousin, regular Henry. These are both full-sized Henrys. I believe the Pet Pro version is exclusive to John Lewis. I wonder if there's any difference in the weight. There might well be. In fact, I think it gives the weights on the label, on the, oh, does it? No, it doesn't. Oh, I thought it did. Oh, it does on Henry Pet Pro. It says 8 kilograms. We don't get any weight. Henry doesn't like to reveal his weight. Let's see if I can. No, they feel about the same. Look at them. 2 peas in a pod, almost, but 15 years separating them. You can see the differences here at the back, as well as the onboard tool storage on Henry Pet Pro. We do have the parking slot as well to store the new nozzle, the new all plastic nozzle. I mean, maybe it's not as bad as I thought, I'm not sure. I'll try it out. I'm sure I've tried this nozzle out before on this carpet. The first time I came across this nozzle was with the Henry XL, Henry's bigger brother. But I suppose there's not a huge amount of difference, I think. There is certainly difference in the cable. This cable is thinner, but then again, it's only 620 watts. Doesn't really need to be very thick at all. It's hard to show you on camera, but the older style Henry does have a thicker cable to the new version. And as you can see, the single speed on-off switch and the mains on light. But pulling it out, yeah, it's a bit more, it scrapes a bit more, I suppose. I don't know. They are similar. Very similar indeed. They're still well made. For the money, you know, they're made in the UK with some, obviously some foreign parts. And I suspect that there are more foreign parts inside a Henry you can buy today than there were inside a Henry 15 years ago. But the average person would just say, oh, that's green and that's red. They wouldn't know much of a difference between the two models at all. Well, I know there's some Henry fanatics out there, so shall we just compare the noise, the sound of the motors, side by side? I think on high power. So this is what the Henry Pet Pro sounds like. Still a very nice smooth running motor, and here's Henry. There's not a lot in it, is there, folks? Really, it's very hard to tell. I'm sure there are Henry fans out there that can detect what Henry it is blindfolded. They can tell you what year it was made and the name of the man who polished Henry's hat on the production line. I'm not such an aficionado of Henrys, but I've got quite a lot of them. And one day, folks, hopefully this year, I'll get every Henry I've got out for you to see. My Henrys, my Hetties, my George, loads of different models I've got, haven't I? Tons and tons, and they are very popular. And, well, we can wave a flag for being British made, at least for now. Let's hope they never decide to take their production overseas like Mr. Dyson. The Henry Pet Pro comes with the 140 aero brush, but he also comes with the full-sized aero brush as well. And with the slightly more suction power of the 15-year-old Henry, I expect this will spin pretty fast. I'm going to try it on this carpet actually. This new design of aero brush does have holes at the front, so even on a deeper pile carpet it means that the air can still flow through the nozzle, enabling the turbine to spin and subsequently enabling the brushes to spin. So I'm going to try it. I'm doing all sorts of things I wasn't going to do in this video, but let's do it while I've got an old Henry next to a brand new one. I think it's quite interesting. Well, it's interesting for me. Hopefully, if you're still watching now, it's interesting for you, isn't it? But I suspect it's not interesting for a lot of folk who just want to buy a vacuum. So, right, well, that is quite stiff on there. Hang on a minute. It's going to have to separate the... That is the trouble with this one. It is really difficult to separate. I think to save my oh heck, I can't take that off. I'm just going to take the whole thing. I'll just take the whole thing off there. Pop that to one side, and I'll use the new ones. I don't know if ever so slightly lighter. I'm not sure. You could hardly tell. That certainly goes on a lot smoother. Let's lean over. So these are the tubes from the new Henry. I'm going to fit them to the hose. Should fit, obviously. 15-year-old Henry tools will fit a brand new Henry. So here's the hose supplied with the 15-year-old Henry, and that fits on perfectly. Well, the aero brush is certainly a lot easier to push on my Saxony carpet, but I don't think the brushes were spinning very fast at all. They were slowing down. It was still working to a fashion, but as I've said before, I think the fault lies with my choice of carpet rather than the aero brush. Well, there you go, folks. 15-year-old Henry meets newborn Henry Pet Pro. There is a difference in the quality between 15-year-old Henry and a Henry that's just come off the production line this year. But it's minimal. The average person wouldn't know. It's only the Henry aficionados out there will know the differences. And I can see odd differences I've pointed out in this video. But still, when you consider the price of a Henry, they're not a lot of money for what you get. They are at least made in the UK still. There are not many things made in the UK. So if you want to fly the flag, Henry is a good choice. He's a robust machine. Even now, it may not be quite as good as 15-year-old Henry, but then what is? Most manufacturers have taken a dip in quality to keep competitive. They have to do it. If Henry kept up the standards he had when he was first born about 40 years ago now, then I don't think Henry would exist. He would have to go up and up in price and people wouldn't buy him. So to keep him competitive against all the other vacuum cleaners you can buy, then corners have to be cut, I'm afraid. But I would still recommend a smiley faced Henry, whether you go for a vintage 15-year-old model or a brand new one. There's still a dependable, friendly face in your home. Thanks for watching. If you've any comments or questions about Henry Pet Pro or 15-year-old Henry, please comment below and I'll see you all very soon. Bye for now.